So this is week 7 of WGU accounting degree. And so I'm going to talk about 3 classes today. So Taxation 1, Innovative and Strategic Thinking, and the Quantitative Analysis for Business. So I finished Taxation 1 on Tuesday of this past week, so today's Sunday. And then I started Innovative and Strategic Thinking and the Quantitative Analysis for Business classes. And I'll get into that more, but I started the innovative one on Friday, Saturday, and then today, Sunday, I started the quantitative analysis for business. So first, Taxation 1, I talked about a little bit already in my last video, but just to get into like the final exam. So I took that on Tuesday. Wait, let me double check. Yeah, so on the 14th, no, Monday. Took that on Monday. And let's see, I would say the practice test was similar to the real exam, but the real exam was harder. So I feel like usually the practice is a little harder than the real one, but this case it's swapped. The real one is harder than the practice. And so there was a few questions I had no idea what they were asking for, and one I just guessed on. I still passed the final exam, and for the practice exam, if I remember, I think I passed it, but I missed more questions than I usually do when I take practice exams. So I would say that one, you definitely want to be strong on the practice because you'll probably get similar or maybe even less on the real exam. Okay, and I did have a better experience on the test this time around. So this time they just did all chat. So I noticed the last few exams, they would start just talking instead of communicating through the chat. And that for me was just more stress inducing. So this taxation test, all the communication was through the chat. It was great. I had no issues with setup or anything. So good experience. All right, so now let me talk about the innovative. Let's see. Oh, not text. Okay, so innovative and strategic thinking. I was excited about this course because I like strategic thinking, innovation, but when I started it, it was not any of those things. So let's see. I did though. So if you look this up on Reddit, they say skip the text because this course is a task. So it's a written task. So you have 2 written tasks you have to do, like 2 essays basically. So normally the best practice for these is to don't even read the textbook, just go read what the task want you to do, and then go look in the textbook for anything, for the information you need to complete the task. But when I did that, there was at least the first part of the textbook was really, really interesting. So I actually just read that part, and then after that it got kind of boring. But the first part was more about innovative design thinking, which I really like that topic. So I read that, and there was a cool video about IDEO. I don't know how to say it, but it's a company where they do design thinking. So it was really cool. So that gave me a good energy boost, but then everything after that in the textbook is pretty dry. So I went back to the task and drafted my answers. So my process for the task is basically I read through it, and you look at the template. So they give you a template to follow. So I look at the template, and then I look at the questions. I sort of draft my answers, almost just stream of consciousness, really, really ugly rough draft, what I'm going to put in that section. And then I go back the next round and edit it and clean it up and make them into real paragraphs. And then I do another round of draft, clean those up, make sure the concepts fit together. There's no repetitive words or sentences, because especially with really boring written assignments, it's just really hard to get into it. I love writing, but writing for school stuff that you have to do and you don't care about the topic is hard. So this is my process to make myself get through it, because editing is a little bit easier than starting fresh with boring topics. And so it's usually about 2 or 3 rounds of editing. Then I put into Grammarly, and I have Grammarly review my writing, and WGU recommends you do that. And then after I do that, then I'll do one last once over and make sure everything looks good. It's answering the question, because sometimes I'll catch that I didn't fully answer the question. So make my last round of edits, and then I'll submit that task. And so yesterday I started early in the morning, and then we went out and then came back. And then I was so tired that I actually took a really long nap. So I woke up at like, I don't know, 9 at night. But I just wanted to finish this course Saturday because I was just so done with it. It was like draining my energy. It was so boring. So I stayed up and then just finished draft. I had already done my rough draft, so I just finished editing the task and submitted them last night. That way I could just wait to see how I did. And that's going to take about a few days. I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything else I wanted to say. Let's see. And the task, I would say the task were the questions were pretty repetitive, and so it was really hard trying to like come up a different way to say the same thing. So that it was just really redundant. Okay, so that was Saturday. So technically finished with that, but I'm just waiting for the task grading to see if it was acceptable. And so today I started the next class, the quantitative, oh, and I forgot the number. So taxation 1 is C237. Innovative thinking class, that was D081. And then quantitative analysis for business is C723. Okay, so I started that one today. And when I like did my research before starting this and read it, it said this class was really easy and simple. And when I got into the class and started watching the videos from the study guide, I realized that yes, it's really easy and simple. For me, especially because a lot of this is just basic, not basic, but like concepts I already know. So like statistics, mean, median, mode, some simple probability, and like linear algebra. So I used to do math tutoring, and I tutored like high school students for like linear algebra and systems of equations. So that I already knew those. And a lot of these videos for the course are like 5 minutes, 6 minutes long, because they like, instead of giving a whole hour-long video like everyone else does, they break up each section, which is really nice because it feels more like I'm actually completing something instead of having to sit through a whole hour-long video. Okay, so I've taken the practice test today. I have not scheduled the final yet because I want to review. I missed like 8 questions, so I passed it, but I want to like review what I missed before I go ahead with the real one, because there were some harder concepts in this one. Let's see. And so for this class, the study guide is really, really important. Follow the study guide. The study guide tells you don't look at the textbook unless you need like extra information. And so I listened to it. I haven't even looked at the textbook or the course material. Actually, I lied. I glanced at it and realized it was written the same way as like the innovative class textbook. That's really boring, and it feels like the sentences say the same thing different ways. So yeah, I'm not using the textbook. This class is surprisingly fun though. It's giving me a lot of energy just because it's about like data representation, statistics, algebra, and those are fun for me. I mean, because I understand them. And then for the videos, so there's mainly one instructor, Julie Patterson, I believe. That's what it says on the videos. And then there's like some longer videos by another instructor named John Leschke, probably saying his last name wrong. But his videos, I haven't really watched all of them because they were more confusing for me. He seems to use a lot more words to say, like more words than need to be to express a concept. And like my brain kind of stops paying attention when people do that. So I'm not really watching his videos. I stick with Julie's videos. Hers are great and simple, to the point. And then there was one concept, like they talk about like EOQ, economic order quantity, like basically how to figure out how to maximize what you're ordering. So you're not paying more than you need to, but you're still getting what you need. And so that, not that, but it's the same idea, like maximizing profits while minimizing costs, like that idea of like finding the maximizing, minimizing using equations. And so they call it linear programming. And on one video, they had introduced it. And normally for these videos, I know what they're talking about, but for when we got to this concept, my brain was not connecting how we got from like the first slide where they introduced it to the next slide when they were like explaining how it worked. And so I had to pause and I was like, okay, I need to connect this better because I don't memorize stuff. I don't like memorizing things. If I can avoid it or at least keep it to just like a few things, that's better. So for this, what I did, I went to ChatGPT and I basically like brain dumped where I knew the disconnect was happening. So I was telling it like, okay, taking this class and they're talking about this, but like I don't understand how they got from here to here specifically. And I basically had to walk ChatGPT through how to tutor me because if you've used it, it generally will just spit out this long page of stuff with emojis and like, do you want me to do more? So I basically had to like keep telling it like, no, stop. Like I would interrupt it, like push the little stop button so it wouldn't even finish, and say like, no, just we're gonna walk through this step by step very slowly. I know where the disconnect is. I just need you to fill in the hole based on what I'm telling you, like where I'm not seeing the connection. And so that worked eventually. And like I eventually realized like, oh, this is just a system of equations, but with inequalities. And I know that really well because like the algebra kids I tutored, they always got messed up with that. Because for some reason, textbooks just don't explain that very well. They make it more complicated than it has to be. And it seemed like they were doing that with this course. Or not in this course, but like the way they're explaining it felt like more complicated than it had to be. So once I realized like, oh, this is just a system of equations. And when I literally typed into ChatGPT was like, oh, wait, I'm remembering this. Like, this is like the problem where they're like, oh, if you have this much money in coins and you've got nickels and dimes, how much of each nickel and dime do you need to have to equal this? And that's why I brain dumped in because that example was coming back to me. And ChatGPT was like, yes, that system of equations. And I was like, yep, there you go. So I brought it back and now I was able to use that to go back to the video for the course and understand what they're talking about. So it's almost like I had to tutor myself with ChatGPT's help because they knew the concepts. And I feel like, was there one more thing I wanted to say? But yeah, so definitely recommend using ChatGPT, but you almost want to teach it how to teach you. Because like I said, I had it walk me through really slowly. So like I would give the first part, the thing that I didn't understand, and then say, okay, this next part is what I don't get. Like walk me through that. So that was really helpful. Also easier to check and make sure they're giving you the right answers. Okay, so for this class, outside info, Reddit, really great help on, and Reddit, reading the tips there reminds me of, because I went to community college, like in person, local community college. And there, if you talk to like students who took your class before, they'll always tell you like, oh yeah, with this teacher, they want you to do this, or they don't care about this. That's what going to Reddit feels like hearing what actually was, what mattered when you took the class and what didn't really matter. So if you're not really a Reddit user, there's probably the same thing in other places. Like, I guess I heard there's Facebook groups, but I'm not really on Facebook, so I don't know. Let's see. And so last thing to say, like I got really excited when I saw the concept of network diagrams for project management. That seemed really cool and useful. And then there's a book I read by Annie Duke called About How to Decide, How to Make Better Decisions. And so her concept of calculating the probabilities of outcomes for like a decision you're gonna make to choose the best one reminded me of a concept in this course. Like talking about decision making, expected value, and then payoff tables, prioritization matrices. I've written those down for myself because I want to look more into them later. Because the class just gives you like a little intro, just surface level, but the topic was really interesting to me. So yeah. So from innovative, where I was just being drained of energy, to this quantitative analysis class, surprisingly giving me my energy back. So I guess I just really like data and statistics. Okay, so again, hopefully this week, I'll finish the innovative class, get my tasks done and passed. Quantitative analysis, we'll take the test this week, and and be done with that one. So that's the plan, and then start the next 2 courses. And right, as of this moment, if I finish those 2 classes this week, then I only have 1 class per week left to complete. So there's like 19 weeks to go, like 18 or 19, and I have about like, I think 19 courses left. So if I only do 1 class per week, then I should be able to finish like in the last week of this term, in the first term. Hopefully I'm trying to keep going and do like 2 at a time, at least until I get to the harder ones, and then I might need to spend more time on those. But yeah, so we'll see how it goes, and I'll give next week's update.